Google NotebookLM is here, and this one speaks for itself.
Today we're diving into something seriously meta, even for us. We're talking Google's NotebookLM.
AI that can discuss information.
Like actually discuss it, hold a conversation.
Precisely.
You could load in any kind of content that you're interested in, and two hosts will talk about the subject in a unique podcast style manner that will reveal things and insights to you that you may never have thought about in that subject before. You may see yourself in a way you've never seen yourself before. So let's get into this.
Seems like he's got this knack for taking these unexpected curveballs and using them as opportunities to learn and grow.
So here we are in NotebookLM. And you can see when you come into the interface, I've used it for some other things just here. I'm going to start a new notebook. To use some of the new features that NotebookLM has just introduced, you need to use a new notebook. So what's interesting about NotebookLM is that it just works with the sources that you load into it here to be able to analyze them and create unique perspectives. I'm going to start by adding in my CV. I've never done this before, but I think it will be fun to hear what the hosts have to say. I'm going to add in an intro video to this channel as well and see what it makes about me.
Am I Barnabas?
So I'm going to use this video here, which is my intro video.
Wait a second. Am I
to the channel at the moment. Click share, copy, and bring that into NotebookLM. There we are. And then I'm going to add another source here. It's going to copy my CV into pasted text. So just copy my LinkedIn profile link here. So we've got here, you could just click generate and it will give you a deep dive on the sources that you've added. Or you can come into customize here and you can try things like it says here, things to try, focus on a specific source, or you could focus on a specific topic, or you could target a specific audience. So it's just generating the conversation now. The cool thing about NotebookLM, this is the feature that everyone's talking about, is the audio overview, where it can do this analysis, put together this podcast style script, and then you can listen and hear what it has to say. So this takes a few minutes, no need to stick around, it says. So we can get on and have a look at some other things. Giving us some examples here of what kind of questions we could ask about these sources. What are the key AI tools used to create stunning videos? How does AI technology simplify and expedite video production? What are the possibilities and limitations of AI in video content creation? So I think this is interesting. Let's click on this, see what it has to say. So now it's going to answer this question. Based on the sources that I've given it, based on my LinkedIn profile, the video intro and the CV. Let's see what it has to say. Okay, let's generating the audio conversation here. Notebook. Let's call this one Barnabas CV linked in and PCP intro. Okay, so it's ready. We've got almost a 15-minute podcast here. Based on this, let's hear what it has to say.
You know how we always talk about finding those people who are out there on the cutting edge of AI video? The ones who are really pushing the boundaries?
Yeah, those who are actually putting it all into practice, not just talking about it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you, in this deep dive, we found someone who fits that description perfectly. Barnabas Lawson.
What struck me about Barnabas was that he's not just some young tech whiz who's all about the latest gadgets.
Right, right.
This is someone with decades of experience in video production. I mean, we're talking way back to the days of like old school editing, live events. He's even created content for airlines.
Airlines.
Yeah.
Talk about a tough crowd, right? I mean, you've got to be creative to keep people entertained on those long flights.
Absolutely. And that actually makes his story even more relevant for what we're doing here, because he's figured out how to make compelling videos across all these different mediums for different audiences with different expectations.
He's got this really diverse background, which is super valuable.
Yeah.
But let's go back to the beginning of his journey for a second.
Okay, yep.
He didn't just wake up one morning and decide to become an AI video guru, did he? What was he doing before all this?
No, not at all. His career actually started back in 2003 with Fountain of Wisdom Ministries. He spent over 20 years there, like really honing his skills as a video editor, camera operator, and eventually worked his way up to media producer.
Wow, over 20 years in one place. That says a lot about his dedication and ability to adapt. especially in an industry that's constantly changing.
Right. And he wasn't just keeping up, he was excelling. I mean, he produced everything from stage dramas to their regular Sunday services. During the COVID-19 lockdown, he even transitioned everything to live streaming.
Oh, wow. So he was forced to adapt quickly like the rest of us.
Exactly. Talk about a crash course in remote collaboration and all of that.
It seems like he's got this knack for taking these unexpected curveballs and using them as opportunities to learn and grow, which, let's be honest, is essential in the fast-paced world of AI video creation.
Absolutely. And it wasn't just limited to churches either. He also worked as a client and operations manager for this company called In-Flight Television International.
Honestly, can't believe that that is making me emotional and cry. It's incredible to hear like a perspective from outside that, you know, the way we think and talk to ourselves sometimes, or the way I do, is not like how these people are talking about me, which is just incredible to be able to hear this. So I would, for your own more ego, you might find it interesting to do the same thing I've done here. Chuck in your own CV, your LinkedIn profile, and maybe something else you've created, and ask it to make a podcast about you, an audio overview, audio deep dive about you. It's really quite incredible. So I'm just going to show you some of the other things that I've managed to do inside of NotebookLM here. And now I'm going to get it to generate a podcast. I'm going to ask it, your audience is of primary school age. So that's one of the cool features, is that you can be able to direct it now to a particular age of audience. You could ask it to reveal it to PhD levels, to college students. So I'm going to do this at primary school age students, because I feel like if you can break it down in a simple way, it's helpful to everyone, even to people at any education level, to be able to understand things and explain them in a simple and a basic way. In fact, I think one of the signs of education is when you can understand things at a high level, but be able to explain them in a way that anyone can understand. So by looking at this and listening to this, imagine what this could mean for education. Picture this, a podcast that translates complex topics, which I'm giving an example of, into simple bite-sized pieces for young learners, or deep dive academic podcast that feels like personal lecture for university students. And the podcast world, you can imagine, like, as this gets more advanced, if they open up different voices in that, what this could mean for the podcast world, the ability to be able to produce podcasts on any subject quickly, easily, and efficient. But also, let's not overlook how useful this is on a personal level. You saw how emotionally affected I was by just listening to two people who are generated by an AI, an LLM model, Gemini 1.5, explaining what they perceive and what they understand about me based on my CV, based on my LinkedIn profile, and based on my first video on one of my videos off this channel. So it's just incredible on a personal level to be able to get that outside perspective of what someone might see just based on certain sources, and also to be able to learn things as well. So any subject you want to learn, you can chuck in the links, you can chuck in the YouTube videos, you can chuck in some pasted copy text, you can even put in MP3s and MP4s and put them in and get it to give you a podcast, an overview, and ask questions and get a timeline and get a better understanding. This is really good for education, helping you better understanding.
Hey, deep divers. You know how in video games sometimes you can teach your character new moves and stuff? Well, that's kind of what we're talking about today. But instead of your video game character, it's a computer learning new tricks.
Exactly.
It's called machine learning. And it's like magic, but with computers.
Yeah, it's really cool stuff.
So
you see what it's trying to do? It's trying to tie in video games, because children primary school age between say 7 and 11, like the target audience, interested in video games.
Expert speaker, what is machine learning?
Well, imagine you're teaching a computer to learn just like you learn in school.
Okay.
So like instead of giving it a list of instructions, we feed it tons of information.
Okay.
Like we might show it a bunch of pictures of cats and dogs, and the computer looks for patterns in the data and learns to tell the difference.
Oh, okay.
Just like how you learn to read by recognizing letters and words.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it teaches itself.
Pretty much.
That's way cooler than my pet hamster.
So how long have people been working on this machine learning thing? Like, did they have computers back when my grandparents were kids?
They did have computers. They weren't as cool and compact as the ones we have today. Oh, okay.
But, and you might be surprised by this, machine learning has actually been around for a really long time.
Really?
Yeah. The term machine learning was first used way back in 1959.
1959. Wow.
Yeah. By a computer scientist named Arthur Samuel.
Wow. Did he teach a computer to do his homework back then? That would be super helpful.
Not quite. But he did create a program that could play checkers.
Checkers.
Yeah, and get this. The program actually got better at the game the more it played.
Row, really?
Yeah, he realized that instead of programming every single possible move, he could write a program that allowed the computer to learn from its own experiences. Just like how you learn from playing games with your friends.
Oh, that's so smart. So computers can learn to play games, but what else can they learn?
Oh, all sorts of things. Like they can learn to recognize faces and photos, or even understand what you're saying when you talk to, like, your smart speaker at home.
Oh yeah, those are so cool.
Yeah. They can even help doctors diagnose illnesses.
You see how he's talking like a young kid as well. Oh yeah, that is so, yeah, those are so cool.
What? Really?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Wow, that's a lot of learning. Is there only one way that computers learn, or are there a bunch of different ways?
Okay, so you can see how this is going to be super helpful for education and for learning personally and for making subjects interesting. And even for video ideas. This will help you with your video ideas, video creation. Like if you want to target a particular audience, you could let NotebookLM know the particular type of audience you want to target with this sources of information you've got, and get ideas on how these guys put together targeting that type of audience, and it might help you with generating your own videos or generating your own content as well. Incredible, right? NotebookLM is able to take the sources that you feed it and create a podcast with 2 people and bring unique insights and understandings that you may not have seen in that content before. If you found this video interesting and like this subject as much as I have, then here's another video that you'll probably be interested in as well.